actual waterfall all across our property. This is beautiful. Good morning, friends, and welcome back to the homestead. So I hope you all had an amazing New Year's. I know we did here on the farm. We played games, we stayed up till midnight. The boys got to shoot some guns up into the mountains, and it really had us thinking about 2021 and what has happened in this year starting January of last year. So I thought I would bring you guys along while we do a little recap of what happened in 2021. All right, friends, so starting in January of 2021, it was normal for us. We were in California living our life. We actually, my husband bought me a new car for my birthday because my birthday is in January, and he bought me my dream car, which was a Challenger, and I was on cloud nine. We decided to just go and do some adventures, do some traveling with the new car. We went to the Grand Canyon for the first time. We went to Las Vegas and just had an amazing time. And that is when in March we decided to come out to Kentucky, Tennessee, mainly to visit some family that were in Georgia and North Carolina. But then we had this dream of coming and eventually purchasing property to have our homestead and live out what we wanted. So while we were here, we actually stopped and saw some properties, and that's when we fell in love with this property that we're on today. And we put in an offer, and that offer was accepted in March of 2021. And that began our journey from California to Kentucky. All right, friends, so on our way back from Georgia, driving our way back to California, we knew we needed to put our house on the market. So we're able to contact our realtor that we knew, a friend of ours, and he got the ball starting. And as soon as we got home, he was already there taking pictures, ready to sell our house. And we did. We sold it in one showing, which was amazing. And that gave us 30 days from the time we accepted their offer to get the house together, everything packed up, and ready to move to Kentucky. And that was so stressful, but exciting at the same time. So we ended up going with the biggest Penske truck that I could drive, which was a 28-foot truck. And we tried our best to fit 7 years worth of living in one home into that truck. And we had to part with a lot of stuff because it just wouldn't fit, which we were okay with doing because we were gonna get a lot more stuff once we got to Kentucky. And we have a different size house, and the house is completely different, so we wanted to change things up and make this now our new home. So we did leave a lot of stuff behind. So now let me get into our drive from California to Kentucky. So in that drive, we had myself, my husband, my father-in-law, 3 boys, 23 chickens, over 30 pigeons, 8 dogs, and a cat. Well, the cat came on a different trip, but all of us loaded up in a Penske truck, a car, and a truck. It was quite the scene. I felt like the Beverly Hillbillies, the way the truck was completely loaded with pigeons and chickens. It was hilarious. And if I find a picture, I'm definitely going to link it in there so you can see what it looked like. It was quite funny. But that drive was very interesting. We went from California to Nevada to Utah, up through Colorado, and when we got to Colorado, our truck went kaput. We noticed it was leaking like crazy, and we're just like, what in the world? What is going on? We had to find our local Penske, and they told us, they're like, we might have to switch out your truck. And I said, there's no way you're switching out this truck because it's loaded with lots of stuff, and all that stuff has fallen forward, and it's gonna be a mess if you open that trailer, and I'm not gonna do it, so you're gonna have to get a bunch of people to do it for me because I already loaded it up. But luckily, it was a quick fix. They got it going, and we were back on the road to Kentucky. All right, so we finally made it to Kentucky, and I will definitely do a video on our trip because that in itself is a video. It was crazy. That whole trip was crazy. But we finally made it to Kentucky, and we started unloading everything, and unfortunately, I had to get back to California, so I had to fly back to finish up work. I'm a nurse, and I had a lot of responsibilities that I needed to wrap up before I left. Plus, my daughters, one was graduating college, the other was graduating high school, and I really needed to be there to watch my girls graduate. So went back to California, spent 1 month, and then I got to fly back or drive back, and my mom came with me, and that was a fun trip. And we got to start our life here in Kentucky on our new farm once I got back in July. So while I was gone, we did have one incident, and that was our dog Gerald. He got spooked and he took off, and we couldn't find him. We thought he was gone. He got eaten by some wildlife. We didn't know. But luckily, 4 days later, he just showed up at the front door and was like, "I'm home, let me in." And he's been here and he's been safe, and so far all of our other animals have been safe. We haven't lost any of our dogs since living on the farm. So when I got back to Kentucky, this is where we started our first small garden, was right here. It was already July. We were too far into the season to get into bigger growing because we only have a short period of time growing here in Kentucky because the frost does come early. So I was able to grow 3 bell pepper plants and 2 tomato plants right here that did phenomenal. Best tomatoes and bell peppers I've ever grown, even in California. They just were loaded down, delicious. It was amazing. So I did get to grow that here, and then in our bigger garden I was able to get some zucchini, some squash, and some potatoes over there. So the second thing that we got into was our chicken brooder. And this we got started right away because as soon as we got here, we went ahead and ordered 160 meat birds, and those were going to be coming the beginning of August. So we needed to hurry up and get this going so that when they come, they were in a safe spot. So after we got our meat birds in August, we had a huge storm come through, one that we didn't know was coming, and we ended up getting 7 inches of rain, and it completely flooded out the brooder, which we thought was safe, and found out it wasn't that safe. So we had to redesign it and lift up the flooring to where any water that happened to come through here would go underneath, and the chickens were safe. We ended up losing 42 birds due to that storm because of the flooding going through, and that was in the first night. We also went ahead and filled this in with cement, and we put it at an angle so that the water would just flow through, and then it would go out through this trench and straight into the creek. And last night, we got 3 inches of rain, and it did exactly what we hoped it would do. The water came through here and rushed out into the creek, and the brooder is completely dry, nothing wrong in either of these bins. So while my husband and I were working on the brooder, my father-in-law was in here and the second one fixing his pigeon cages and his pigeon coop for all of his pigeons that he brought with us on our trip. And now they are living the life. He has made this nice. Like, I wouldn't mind sleeping in there. It's so nice. Once the chickens were old enough to come out, we made this brooder, and then we quickly had to make a second brooder because they outgrew this one. There was too many, and we needed to put them in a second one, and my husband went ahead and upgraded this one because we found that we didn't like the design quite as much on the first one as we do the second one. So once we got to Kentucky, we were going back and forth on whether or not we should start a YouTube channel. I'm a very shy person and I don't like talking in front of people, so I was concerned I wasn't going to do so well, but I actually fell in love with this, and we went ahead and started this YouTube channel, and I love it. I'm so glad we can document our journey from California to here, and then also our journey here on the farm. So another thing that we were able to accomplish in 2021 was our orchard. We got 10 trees planted this year, which was a huge goal of ours. Back in California, we did have 3 trees, and they started to grow and produce right as we were leaving. So I know it takes at least 3 years before your trees are going to start to produce fruit. So we wanted to hurry up, get them in the ground, so that we can start getting some fruit on our farm as soon as possible. We are planning on adding more in the next coming years, but right now we got started with these 10, and I am so excited with how well they are doing right now. So next thing we ended up getting was our pigs. We got these 3, and the next day we got Pumbaa, the male pig, And if you had asked me this time last year if I'd ever have pigs, I would have told you no way. This was a huge goal and big for me to have pigs. Never had pigs before. I've never lived on a farm before. The most we had was our chickens. So this was interesting, and it's been a fun journey over the last few months growing our pigs, and potentially in the future having more pigs as we breed them and sell them, and then also keep some for us to put in our freezer for our family. Another huge thing that we did is with getting the pigs, we were able to put 2 pig paddocks here in the barn. We have our 3rd one that is almost complete, but it should be done within the next couple weeks, so that way we can move Pumbaa over, move the females into the middle one, and hopefully start breeding very shortly. And then we'll keep this one for our meat pig, who we are going to butcher sometime in spring. So another thing that we decided to do is we wanted to increase the number of our egg layers to give us more eggs throughout the year. So we ended up purchasing 10 new chickens. We got 5 sapphires and 5 Americanas. And in that 10, we ended up getting 4 roosters, which they were all supposed to be females, so I was kind of salty about, but we got 4 roosters, and then we ended up losing 2, an Americana and a sapphire, to jumping into the pig pen, and the pigs got them. So that was another thing that we had to fix, was the pig pen, to make it to where the chickens can't get in there. But we did up our eggs, and then our 4 roosters that we got, we already have 2, and that was becoming a huge issue with our other roosters. They were all fighting, so we ended up calling for the first time our chickens other than our meat birds. So we ended up giving 4 of those roosters to our neighbor, who came over and helped us butcher them, and then we went ahead and gave him those roosters to take home, and he was quite happy with that. So in 2021, we had another adventure, and that was quail. We were first gifted 4 quail by a neighbor, and we grew those up, and we actually called them when we called the roosters. And he had given us 16 more quails right before we butchered the 4 that we gotten. And we've come to the agreement that we don't particularly like quail. They're too small for us and too many bones. So we're going to go ahead and butcher these 16, and then we're not going to do quail anymore. But it was nice to finally say that we actually did do it, and we tried it, and we didn't particularly like it so much. So with our increased number of egg layers, we went ahead and added more nesting boxes, just so that the ladies can come out in here, or they can go into the ones that we first made when we got here. But this way they have 2 places they can go to lay their eggs and feel protected and safe. So then it was time for us to go ahead and call our meat birds, and that was 118 meat birds that we did in one day, thanks to a neighbor who came over and helped us. It was myself, my husband, my father-in-law, and our neighbor, and we were able to go through the 118 chickens in about 6 hours. And then we were able to put them in the freezer, and we have enough chicken that's going to last us at least until spring, when we do our next batch of meat birds. So in California, we also meat birds. We did 30 at a time with a total of 60 that we did. And coming here, this was the first time that we were able to do meat birds on our farm here, and we were able to increase the number because we had more area to do it in. This is something that we created and we made to help with the processing, and these are the cones that we put the chickens through, and we were able to take their heads off so that the blood can just drip down. But this was something that we made to help our process. So another thing that happened in 2021 is our garden, and we were able to successfully grow for the first time ever potatoes, and we grew quite a large amount of potatoes that I feel that we did that we're using up right now. We also planted our squash and zucchini that did very well over here. We planted some tomatoes and some bell peppers. Those were not successful due to the weeds and the time of the year that we planted them, as well as our beets and our carrots that we planted over here. It was just too hot when we planted them that they just did not do well. So we ended up with just the zucchini, the squash, and the potatoes from this garden. So the last thing we were able to plant in 2021 was our garlic bed and our onion bed. And as you can see, they are doing phenomenal. I do have them covered right now. And then this is gonna be our harvest for 2022 in spring. So 2021 in a recap was full of dreams come true. From being able to come to Kentucky, buying a homestead, having our farm here, being able to produce our own meat, being able to produce our own vegetables for our family has been huge. And on top of that, I got to have my dream car, which was the Dodge Challenger. But unfortunately, we have been told by several people here in Kentucky that that vehicle is not feasible during the winter time. And that was our only form of getting around. We do have another car, but that's an older car. This was the newer one. So we had to make the hard decision to give up the Dodge Challenger for something that was going to be a lot safer for the family, as well as a lot more use here on the farm. So let me come show you. So we ended up trading in the Dodge Challenger and we got the other dream that I've always had, which is a Ford F-150. And this is going to keep us safe on the roads here in Kentucky during the winter time, during the rain, as well as be able to keep us and get us to and from where we need to go. So the truck already comes equipped with the tow hitch, so we can attach our trailer safely to this, as well as a weatherproof cover that comes on and off, so we can store our feed in here. And it came into use yesterday when we had to go into town and get pig feed. We were able to put it all in here safely. It was pouring rain and nothing got wet, which was really nice. So this truck is definitely good for our farm and is farm ready, and it's definitely going to be to some good use here on the farm with us. All right, friends, so that was 2021 recap of everything that we did in 2021. I am definitely looking forward to what this year has to bring, and I'm definitely going to be putting a video out on our goals for 2022, as well as a video on our trip from California to Kentucky, because that was a trip all in itself. So thank you, friends, for stopping by. I hope you enjoy this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. As always, I hope all is well and have a blessed day.
You as you drive, do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know